The first 5 weeks of the NFL season have been blockbuster, but as week 6 is just around the corner, here are 5 more things that you need to look out for. What better place to start than the second week of this year's NFL London as the Denver Broncos take on the New York Jets. Now, last week's matchup between the Vikings and the Browns was immense and opened up NFL London with a bang. And as we move our attention to this weekend, it is only going to get better. Now, you guys should know by now that I am a Denver Broncos fan, and I would be lying if I said that I didn't cry happy tears over last week's win. Because my boys from Mile High walked into the house of the reigning Super Bowl champions and came out with the win. And with a top 5 running back in J.K. Dobbins and a quarterback still improving in Bo Nix, is that a Super Bowl I smell? But with a seemingly easier game versus the Jets in London this week, the Broncos still need to be careful because Jets quarterback Justin Fields is still yet to throw a pick this year, and he has registered 4 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns already this year. And can I flex my team for a bit, because the Denver Broncos defense has got 21 sacks this year and we're only allowing 200.2 passing yards on average per game. And their running back Breece Hall is also carrying his fair share with 351 rushing yards this season already. And although Breece Hall is yet to register a touchdown this season, what better place to do it than London? Watch out for the Broncos versus the Jets this weekend. Now, the second thing that we have to look out for this weekend is the Dallas Cowboys. Because America's team being 2-2-1 is the perfect epitome of who the Dallas Cowboys are in the modern game. They clearly have the quality on offense, but after losing Micah Parsons in the offseason, they're missing a bit of pizzazz on the defense. However, the Dallas Cowboys have a really underrated rushing attack with Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders combining for 564 rushing yards this season. With quarterback Dak Prescott looking as confident as ever, with a wide receiver duo of George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb still waiting to flourish, this weekend's game versus the Carolina Panthers will be a great indicator into the ceiling of this Dallas Cowboys team. Now guys, this weekend we have to be on the lookout for Tennessee Titans quarterback Cam Ward. Okay, fine. If you just look at the stats, Cam Ward will look like a bottom tier quarterback. But over here on First and 5, we don't just look at the stats, we look at the tape, and if you watch Cam Ward, he looks like a great quarterback in the making. 2 touchdowns and 3 interceptions going into week 3 isn't great, especially if you tie in that 26.5 quarterback rating. But the Tennessee offensive line is one of the worst in the league. Their wide receivers are inconsistent, and their defense allows 366.8 yards per game. And obviously 366.8 yards per game is not going to help Cam Ward recoup on the sideline. And last week in a game where Cam Ward threw for over 250 yards, I think we saw the seeds of a potentially great quarterback being planted. The Raiders will need to do a lot better than last week to beat the Tennessee Titans convincingly this weekend. Now, the fourth thing to look out for this weekend is Joe Flacco. Because Flacco on the Bengals is definitely something that no one saw coming when we were going into the season, but it's week 6 and here we are. Now, the Jake Browning experiment in Cincy has not worked, and that front office cannot continue to starve their elite receiving core in T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Now, is Joe Flacco the perfect quarterback? No, but will he give your receivers the best chance to make big plays? Yes. Well, above Jake Browning, that is. In his last 17 games, a 40-year-old veteran is averaging 246 passing yards per game. And now with a completely different caliber receiving core at his disposal, Joe Flacco might be the answer just until Joe Burrow comes back. And we've got to remember, the Bengals just need to stay in the mix. They don't need to be the best version of themselves yet. Their season is not over. And the fifth thing to look out for this weekend is high-scoring matchups. Teams this year are averaging 23.4 yards per game, which is the best scoring average through week 5 since 2020. But where history is being made is the amount of teams to register a 40-point game after week 5, because this year is the most in NFL history. But overall this year, it feels like offenses have come out of the block hot, when normally it feels like it takes a few weeks for offenses to get into gear. As a chess match between defensive coordinators and offensive coordinators heats up year on year, it feels like this year the offensive coordinators are winning. But those are 5 more things to watch out for this NFL weekend. But what are your thoughts? Comment down below and let me know. And if you have enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, but most importantly, subscribe to the NFL UK and Ireland YouTube channel. I've been American TJ, peace.